Welcome back into Solar Nations 2 Builders. We're starting off here in episode 5. I want to say a huge hello to everyone who's been enjoying the series. It's really been popping off, and rightfully so. I think it's a pretty cool game. Obviously, there's still some rough edges, but it's an interesting start nonetheless. One of the requests that I've been getting a lot of is, could we go over the current situation that's happening in the solar system? And I think since I haven't recorded for a couple days, that's probably a great place for us to start. Here's one of the big ones, and a few people caught this because of the situation that's happening on the moon. But the East Asian People's Federation have gobbled up a large chunk of Russia. Russia has a little bit of land left, but they are pretty sunk. They are pretty sunk. The Soviet Union has reemerged, apparently. Russia is still here, but only just. And the East Asian People Federation has really taken over. You can see they're down here into like Vietnam. They've got Russia, and they've, gotten pretty big. I would say they are probably the most powerful faction in the game at the moment, although it's really hard for me to tell that. But needless to say, they are pretty large and in charge. India looks like it's had a little bit of its territorial aspirations come true. Down in the south, Indonesia has managed to spread quite well, and it's basically taken over Oceania. The EU looks like it has broken back up into its constituent countries, and otherwise they look like they're doing okay. But yeah, they don't have that power block anymore, so that is probably not a good sign when you have the Soviet Union and the East Asian People's Federation right on your door. Nigeria's been expanding in Africa, but otherwise not too crazy here. North America, Canada survives, but the United States, as we saw in the previous episode, has had a pretty devastating civil war. It is split into at least 3 constituent parts. We've got the Union of American Syndicates, we've got the Hubei provinces, and then we have the Republic? Constitutional American Republic. So has split up quite badly, and spoilers, that also means that their huge colonies that they were working on Mars have also split apart. Mexico has also had issues. We've got the is it West Texas? No, the East Asian People's Federation have nibbled into North America too. So not good times happening here. In South America, Brazil is conquering the entire continent. Looks like they're doing rather well for themselves. Just out of curiosity. Yeah, looks like they're getting decent development, at least on world, although I don't think they have a space presence yet. If we zoom out and we head over to Luna, here's another great tip someone gave me. You can right click on space bodies and it'll give you a chance to select what you want. Mainly, I find it more useful for like these orbits, so I could select the stable orbit if I wanted to colonize here. Very helpful. I was really struggling sometimes to get those. On planets that you have provinces, it's going to want you to do a province selection, but you can always camera zoom to get over to it. So either way, it is pretty good. While we're here, there is a lunar stable orbit. I don't think I'm going to go for that one. We have big plans. We have really big plans. We do have a fleet in orbit at the moment. That is not mine. That is the East Asian People's Fleet, I believe. Our lunar colonies are doing rather well for themselves, especially what I consider the lunar capital, Hibernia Secundus, is doing rather nice. We're up to 600,000 people almost. Quite developed industry, really clicking along here. Although 14K revenue dwarfs in comparison still to our earthbound economies. On the moon, we have the East Asian People's Federation, and we have Russia specifically. So we have kind of a 3-way thing going here. Russia has probably been relatively neutered. I mean, they do have a decent population up here, but yeah, not compared to the population that we're going to be seeing in East Asian. So it's going to be interesting. Very interesting there. Zooming out from that and heading over to Mars. We don't have anything on Mercury or Venus yet. Mars itself. So I can zoom on in. We still own both of the moons, Phobos and Deimos. And the moon itself has quite shattered. Again, we see a huge portion of it, East Asian People's Federation, this dark red color. But we have a smattering of the People's Republic from the US. Some uncolonized areas that are still left. Hubei. So the Hubei, that's one of the American separatist groups. Union American Syndicate. So there are all their colonies here split apart. I have a feeling that, honestly, they're probably going to get gobbled up. I don't know how they don't, being so fragmented. So interesting there. As I mentioned, we own both the moons there. One of our big plans for today is we're going to get at least one asteroid area so we can set up the asteroid miner wonder. A lot of people suggested that maybe we should take all of them. I don't know if I want to do that. So we'll think about that. Also, you can see here the green orb or the green circles. There's one here and then there's one around Jupiter. That is our colonization range as far as I can tell. If we click on Saturn here, just double checking myself. Can I colonize one of you? No, I can't. Yeah. So when people were saying the green circle, that's what they were referring to. So if you want to refer to previous footage, perhaps you can tell where we were able to colonize earlier. I couldn't see it, or I didn't notice because I was either zoomed in too close and just couldn't see it, or for whatever reason. Jupiter, according to our plans, is all ours currently and probably going to be expanding. I think I'm going to try to grab up all the stable orbits, and we are just going to make this Fortress Japan. Right now, I'm the furthest person out. Nobody else has any colonies out this far. And so I feel like getting a head start here would be good. I'd love if we could just solidify this as ours. Another thing we've been working on was trying to get our education up, and aka our research up. I feel like we're really far behind in that. I can't find a way to tell, but I feel like we have to be. So we have done a lot of work here in Jupiter Stable Orbit A to get some education up and running, but I think we need to expand that greatly. So not too big of mix-up around. I don't think I've seen any nukes flying or anything, but even if they did, I'm not sure that we would know. I mentioned before, but one of the big things this game really needs, we need some sort of event ticker or something. We need to know when people are declaring war, because we didn't get to see the war in Russia because we didn't know there was one. So for a game that you're probably going to play zoomed out a lot, or you're going to be looking at some colony not staring at Earth unless you're playing as an Earthbound nation, I really feel like we need that. Really, really need that. And then obviously it needs to be customizable so that you can make changes there. Okay, that's where we're at. Other things that people mentioned, a lot of people want me to go into debt a lot, and we probably should be spending more. I had to be very careful in the early game because we had the poly crisis, we had horrific amounts of stability, and if we got a civil war, it's literally game over. Like, I did like 6 or 7 test games to get to the point that I could play this start, and almost every one of those ended in civil war that I could not win. So that was the reason there, but we probably can do some higher spending if we are so inclined. If we look at our revenue here, I don't think we can really raise any of our taxes. The ideologues and the managers are kind of borderline. If we look up at the resource tax, my aristocrats are super pissed. The income tax, the rurals are just barely okay. And we really like their bonus. That development is a lot of money for us, and we'd really like to keep that up if we can. So I don't think there's a lot we can really do here for the economy at the moment. If we hop over to our stability, I'm at 90 stability, so we do need to do some spending here. One thing I would like to do also, people mentioned I should check out the espionage stuff, so I think it would make sense to me. Let's do some deep cover operatives. This does give the spy faction a little bit of a power base. That's fine. Go ahead and turn that on. That's cheap. What else can we do? For the military, we have a couple choices here. We could do the militarized education. That would get me more manpower. At the moment, I don't think we have manpower issues. We could do war science, which would give us some research speed. I do like that one quite a lot because, like I said, I think we're behind in military. We also have citizen service. The rural labor faction effect, that's the development effect that they have, could be increased. I don't mind that, but I think we're going to go for the war science to try to help our research. Everyone else is running at least something at the moment. Up here, well, I take that back. We don't have anything for our technocrats. Maybe we could try to get them to be a little happier. Let's see. As you can see, this is actually, I think, raised a little bit because I've made my factions a little happier by our various selections. Corporate collusion would get us a hefty stability cost. International migration, we don't do that. We have closed borders, so that's not really useful, not for us. Mercenary advisors gives breakthrough chance. We're not currently fighting. Crony contracts, not too expensive. Project build cost, that wouldn't be bad. We have some places where things are getting very expensive. I don't mind that one. Lax regulations would increase our tax base, but would give us a death rate. So like you just have people get killed on the job, basically. That in and of itself is horrible, but the regulation here might be worthwhile. That's not nothing on the tax base. We could actually run technocracy. Gives us electronic factory efficiency. Why would I care? Electronic gives us Empire modify. Okay, so it would give us unit advantage. That's kind of how I feel on that. If it was scaled the education bonus, I'd be a lot more interested. Ethics are weakness. This gives us project build cost -20 and enigmatic research speed +50. I believe that's for dangerous techs, I want to say, although I don't know that for certain. And we are going to do some of those. Gives me some loyalty. The build cost is not as good as the other one. We also could do mega urbanization, project efficiency 5%. I like that one quite a lot because that applies to like all of our projects for all the things we're trying to do. All right, I think we're going to do mega urbanization, and I can still afford a little bit. We can go really low. I think I'm going to stop there though. We're going to be setting up some more colonization, etc., etc. But look at that income. That's because I made them happy, and they are a pretty dang, like these two. This ruling coalition is 53%. Like that's a really powerful set. We probably could get even more if I made them happier. Ditto up here. No, let's just stop there for now. We may have other things I want to spend on. For research, right now I am mainly working on artillery and aircraft. I want to bolster Japan itself's defense. A, I'd like just to not look like a weak target, so someone just declares war on me because I look weak. But B, I feel like for a roleplay reason, I feel like the national pride would not let them be completely defenseless. So when all these current ones are done, we're going to build up some more air force, and I'll expand the artillery and infantry down there. A few people mentioned that my like 10K stacks are not going to do anything because they've seen 100K stacks. Maybe. I don't know how much I can actually support, and I don't know where I want to put that support. Earth, we're pretty vulnerable. The moon is high investment, but our real goal is Jupiter. So I'm not 100% certain where I want to dig in. A space force might be a good use because that is at least mobile, and we can maybe make something out of that. So we'll think about that. Otherwise, I'm just cleaning up a lot of earlier text for the most part, so it's not very exciting. I did prioritize the education a little bit sooner just to try to get that in and running. So we'll see about that. Military, as I mentioned, we're going to do some expansions there. Let's come back to that in a minute. Population wise, we are up to 106 million, which I believe is our all-time highest population that we've managed to get to. And that's partly because we've been running cloning bays that are going in around Jupiter, and we've been doing I think they're nano healthcares back home. And I think we're going to continue to try to expand that. We are working our way through urban file at the moment, and soon we will have that finished. And then I don't know exactly what we're going to do with the other culture points. I don't know if there's something else I can really spend that on, but we'll see, I suppose. I would really like it if our Luna Japanese would just go back to being regular Japanese. Yeah, I can't do re-education, so we're just gonna have to leave that alone. It would be very nice if we just had 100% of our pop, but it is what it is there. I don't think we could have done that differently. Diplomacy tab, just out of curiosity, the East Asian, I just want to know if we're, okay, we're a little down. They're the number 2 superpower. Really? And who's number 1? We look at our victory progress. Belt and Road is 6. The Fujian Exposition Association is 16. The Indian Sphere. Is it India's number 1? India number 1. There you go. So India and then East Asia are the top 2 at the moment. Just out of curiosity, what do we rate these days? It's not going to be high. Don't get too excited here. Japan, number 6. Okay, I believe we were 7 or 8 for quite a while. I guess it is that number. So we are gaining. That's good. I mean, considering where 1 and 2 are, 6th place is not terrible. Okay, well, there's that. Construction, people told me here that these will show me better numbers. Let's see if I can find that out. So if I click, that's not going to be something I can really do a lot of, is it? Nuclear reactor. Yeah, these numbers look much more real compared to other ones. So $899 if we built in Central Japan. I want to compare. We go to Central Japan and I mouse over building a nuclear reactor. Yeah, see, look at this. Gross income is 300. So again, I'm going to say that is absolutely terrible UI. These numbers cannot be different, or they need a big explanation next to them of why they're different. So that's super annoying because I don't like this screen. The reason I don't like this screen is, all right, tell me where this place is. Tell me where that place is. The names are just too many. There's too many regions. So I would rather be looking at them physically, but it's good to know that there's at least a place I can see it. But man, this is just terrible UI. Absolutely terrible UI. We also have expansion. I think I've shown this one off before, but you can use this to search for various places. I don't think I care about that at the moment. And then edicts. I think we are going to run a few more edicts than we currently are. Starting off, let's actually go to Japan itself. So most of our money is still coming from here. And I think there's a couple that we could turn on that aren't actually going to hurt us and actually would be just straight up free money, basically. So like psychoeconomics gives us a 1.125 multiplier on our tax base, but it lowers admin efficiency. But I think we're over capped on admin efficiency here. I wish this one would tell us what our actual one is before maximum value capping. Again, need to add up those numbers. Let's go ahead and do that though. So I would like this on all 3. And then let's double check that that's actually good. So if we turn that off, what I don't want to see is really bad admin efficiency. Okay, 87% is not terrible. I wish it was still stuck at 100. 100 because it's our capital, and 97. So why are you lower? Because you have a construction subsidy. Okay. All right, well, that's not going to be on forever. So that's very doable. Okay, we'll let those ones play out. Development wise, yeah, look at this. How sad is this? 2.8. We're above 5 on the moon. So yeah, somebody had a great comment about imagine what life must be like here. Like all the jobs have been automated. We closed down the last factory, although the last factory, air quotes, we still have things like the genetic material factory. We still have some over here, steel factories, etc., etc. But yeah, it's definitely not the place that people want to be. People definitely would prefer, I think, to be moving into space. That being said, though, we're gonna continue to treat this as useful territory because, like I said, of our budget, this is 73K of our 198. So that's still like a third of our economy down here. So we'll see what we can do. Beyond that, what else was I looking at? I think those were the main ones. I don't think these other ones are going to be worthwhile. If I look here, Yeah, see, we're already down to 75%, and that's because we're running rapid development, but rapid development, definitely worthwhile here, I think. Get that number up there. The development, remember, is a multiplier to all tax revenue produced by the region. That's what's getting us to 14K. So obviously we need more, always need more, but you know, we'll work on it. We'll work on it. Okay, so let's actually get stuck in here. So northern Japan, I did notice that we had something with air farming. So we could add hydro farming. I don't know if that's even worth it here. We're currently building genetic material factory and some fortifications. Yeah, we decided we were gonna start digging in here quite heavily last time. We have nothing being built in the capital. And the capital is tied for the highest food. Our food is 8. I think we want to add the raw resource extraction thing, and that would up our food a little bit. We also could add hydroponics. Okay, let's do that. So we would like to add... Oh, we have hydroponics, I see. Okay, but extraction may be in our near future. Resource extraction increases the agricultural sector layer level. So I should be able to get us to another level of food if nothing else. So let's go ahead and drop that. Another thing I'd like to do, I think we have not added any culture stuff. So adding in a little bit of culture might not be a bad idea. I think Earth might be a good place for that. So like they're going to export anime apparently. That's going to be their strategic export, which is actually kind of a real life thing. Funny to think about, but you know, in the modern economy, exporting culture is really, really good because you don't need raw resources particularly to do it. So yeah, for a country that's struggling a bit on the raw resource side, definitely something they'd be looking to do. We're doing infrastructure, genetic material, and fortification. So I think we're good here on Earth. Like I said, we're going to come back to the military thing, but I want those next couple techs to come through before I bother. So we'll just hold off on that for a minute. All right, let's head to the moon. I wish double clicking those would take me there. On the moon. All right, well, I'm sorry people who want me to use the expansion planner, but that's just not how my brain wants to work yet on this. So you're going to have to suffer. Okay, we have at our capital, we have the ability to raise the service industry. It does cost a pretty penny, $402,000, but the extra commercial sectors is just a straight bonus to all resource income, which is climbing up our scale of things that are useful pretty quickly. I could also increase our digital assembly, which raises our electronic sector. Now, our electronic sector does make a lot of money. This is claiming we're making 6.5, but I believe this is our main driver here, which is also making 12. So that one may be worth it. Let me just look. Is there anything that we're missing here? We don't have any healthcare things. So that is one that we could think about. So if we find... We could do cloning vats, would cost me 2 million. I just don't think I can swing that. Gene clinics would give us some unity and a bunch of pop lives. I think those are going on Earth though. I don't think we're putting those up here. Yeah, and then we must have the nano commercial zone. Yeah, nano healthcare. So we do have the nano healthcare already. Yeah, for the development. Yeah. Okay. Fortification may not be a horrible one for this. This is like I said, I kind of consider this my capital up here. Yeah, let's go ahead and we're going to plop that down there. And then I think we're going to leave that one alone for the time being. And then we're going to click around and look. So here we are doing some hydroponics. We have a bunch of infrastructure we would need to put down if we wanted to do something else. I don't think so. We're not using the heavy metals though. Okay, let's drop a commercial plant. We'll drop a commercial zone to make you, or not a commercial zone, a consumer goods factory. Okay. Well, actually, hang on, let me think about that. If I'm gonna build, we probably should do infrastructure. Yeah, if we're gonna build, we should do the infrastructure. So get that done, and then you can have consumer goods factory. Okay, the Wehuti Plain. All right, they have lots of things. We have a consumer good factory already, but we don't have the other one. So let's, same thing here. We're gonna up our infrastructure, and then we're gonna add. So we have the lithium for the electronics. Electronics factory. We already have the consumer goods factory. And then nano composites. Nano composite factory. Okay. Quicks. Here, again, we have lots of things that we haven't done. We were starting to build spaceports here, but honestly, the spaceports could be so much better in space. I didn't realize those stable orbits were so good for them. We're probably going to demolish this at some point. I'm not going to do it at the moment, but definitely a thought that we are having. And here we have electronics and consumer goods. Do the same thing. So electronics and consumer electronics, consumer goods. Okay, one of our sparser areas. It was originally supposed to be our power generator, but it turned out not to be the best place for it. Which we might still be able to add extra, but for now, I think you're just going to be undeveloped at the moment. Over here, we have the nano composite factory. We could use a consumer good one. We'll go ahead and expand that. Consumer goods. Here again, we have a nano composite. We could use electronics and consumer goods. I'm just hoping that these are we're gonna see a good return on investment here. Electronics, consumer goods. We have the consumer good factory. We need electronics and nano. We also need infrastructure. Okay, do the infrastructure. Okay, electronics. And nano. We do have mass production. What do you do? Manufacturing sector level 1.1. That would be pretty good. Manufacturing. Now, is that an actual thing up here, or is that actually just going to make all of my factories better? Let's find out. Okay, I think I'm going to leave that be for now. That is Luna. Zooming out to Mars. All right, now one thing I did notice at Mars, so we have these stable orbits, and they do have curiosity of 5. That's not terrible, but honestly, I think the Jupiter ones are 7s, and I want to dominate Jupiter. I don't want anyone getting any ideas out there, so I'm going to leave these alone, but I think early on, if I had noticed this would have been a good play. We're not on the surface. We are over here at our planet. So if we click Phobos, we do have a couple things, if I remember, I can upgrade. So here's our 49 refining. This is our best refinery, our best steel at the moment. We're very proud of our Japanese steel, space steel. Let's see what we could do if there's anything I want. So other deposits, we do have some energy here, and that's about it. I guess some water, but that's kind of whatever. Okay, we're doing AI stuff. Development equilibrium. The development here is actually pretty good. Okay, yeah, the development's good enough. I think that justifies that. We don't need any of these. Robots, no. Commercial zone would again give me extra development, and this is really cheap. Sure. Genetic material factory. I don't know if I need these everywhere yet. I'm gonna hold off on that. Now the clone vat is 700,000 here. I think the pop is just too low. We'll let this one naturally go. The nanobot healthcare though, much cheaper, and it gives us extra development. We'll do that. All right, that's Phobos. Deimos. I'm checking up here to see how much I'm getting myself into trouble. 2% debt penalty. Okay, Deimos. No, I want Deimos. Yeah, see what I mean about that clicky thing? It definitely could be better. All right, here, I noticed that we don't have resource extraction maxed out. So we definitely need to do that. And I think we're going to see a lot of what I just did. So let's just double check. So we are going to do the industrial computerization for the development, because we are at 3.3, which so we're maxed out right now, but that'll raise it. And then I don't think I'm going to get anything else in here. The healthcare, again, it's only 87,000 max pop. So I think that's that. Okay, next, we're going to pick an asteroid to start colonizing. It's kind of an eeny, meeny, miny, mo, I guess. C seems to be near these. I don't know the orbital speeds of any of these things. Sure, I'm going to pick it literally because it's things I might someday want to colonize. I believe I checked these and they all have exactly the same resources, just to prove that. We have 20 steel here and 8 lithium, 20 and 8. Yeah. Okay, so asteroid belt C will be our home. We're going to increase workforce there. So we're starting to expand. We will expand construction. Yes. 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 Oh my gosh, these do get rather expensive, don't they? And we'll let that go. I guess we're committed here anyways, so let's do our survey. We got 4 more iron. We got 2 nuclear fuel and 2 heavy metals. 24 iron. I guess maybe we could survey all these, but I don't know if other people get to take advantage of my surveys, so I'm a little leery of surveying things I'm not claiming. All right, and then I think we're going to actually unpause and let the game start moving there, because we are in great amounts of debt. Debt penalty is moving to 6%, minus 0.00304. Yeah, look at that stability penalty just jumping up. It's all right. As things finish, obviously. Zoom in here. Kind of nice seeing things zip around, isn't it? You can really see how fast some of these things orbit compared to Earth. Okay, research complete. Great. Asteroid belt C is done. Okay, so 10,000 population here. We can fit 50 million. Okay. Well, we're at 95% habitability, which is crazy. Let's just take that to 100. And then I do think that the cloning vats are going to be worthwhile here. It's not going to use very much genetic material, which I do have an excess of at the moment. And that pop growth will be really nice. So we'll go ahead and drop that. The nano healthcare is also another pretty nice one. Let's drop that. And then here, the best thing we could build would be steel at the moment. So we'll drop a big steel here. And industrial capacity, project build cost. Okay, that should probably be much higher, because that has project build cost. We'll build that second. All right, and what else do we have? We do have research here, commercial stuff. We'll build the consumer goods. That's lithium, right? Electronics, nano. All right, and we'll let that have a minute to percolate. And then over on Jupiter, take me over there. Thank you. Kinda, sorta. All right, we want to fill in, I think, these other stable orbits. So let's go ahead. Our Jupiter stable orbit A. So research is something I'm very interested in up here. 3 million pop here. That's not terrible. How much would it cost me for a cloning bay? 2.6 million. Mass production, that's a maybe. Development equilibrium, we're heading up towards 4. That would be good. Let's get that. AI modules. Yeah, that project build cost. I need to start doing that everywhere. Just out of curiosity, that doesn't have some weird cost that I'm not noticing, does it? Okay, we're done with some more tech. Great. Neural network usage. Shoot, yes it does. I don't have any neural network capability yet. We could start producing some. That is a nice bonus. That build cost alone. Neural network. All right, we're gonna need to get some of that in. I think Europa. All right, so to get some of that, these are things we have not been putting in. So yeah, we need AI training supercomputers, and they're only 10. Yeah, here come the data centers, guys. Get ready. Those are pretty pricey. I'm not sure I can swing that. All right, let's Phobos. Okay, I didn't queue one up there. Demos. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say no to that, unfortunately. Okay, so the industrial computerization's okay. It's the AI one that I have to not touch. So that's gonna be my asteroid. Asteroids, where are ya? Should be past those two. Yeah, no, it's Jupiter. Asteroid belt. All right, we need to take out. Sorry, no AI to logistics. We just can't swing that at the moment. I do think you could probably swing like, at least as a small poor nation at the beginning of the game. I think you have to swing one thing you want to do. So we're doing the genetics material. There's that. There's the cybernetics and robotics. There's the AI model stuff. I just don't think you can do all of those. A new culture idea can be added. Okay, this is going to be urban adaptation, refining sector level +2. Hello. 53 refining. Remember, that is a project build cost modifier of 53% for the entire empire. So when we look at those buildings that are 2 million, remember that's half off. just remember that. That's half off. All right, we're bringing some of the debt down. Okay, that's not too bad. It's not too bad. Okay, they're still building away. Let's go back to Earth, I think. All right, how are we doing, Earth? I feel like we are playing really fast. Let's slow that down just a smidgen. I kind of want to leave it unpaused, but I also don't want to like miss literally everything. So, okay, here. Yeah, we got up to 10 food. Yeah, so we also, that's 1% pop growth. All right, people retiring, that's fine. What else could be good? So we could raise the level of our genetic material factory relatively cheaply. I'm making 59 genetic material at the moment. So we go to our capital. Yeah, this is a little bit of roleplay. I'm not sure this is actually good, but I feel like the older generation is like demanding their healthcare. So gene clinics is what I want to build. And genetic material usage per million is 1.1. And there are 48 million here. So we're going to probably be just under the amount we need if I build that here. But it gives me a big population limit, and it does unity. And I want to get some unity down. So let's start that. We go to Northern. In Northern, do I have the construction subsidy? I don't in them there. Okay, let's just add that temporarily at least, because I'm going to be doing some work here. And actually, now that I said that, our asteroid, who's building a bajillion things. So we want edict, construction subsidy, asteroid belt C. It's really weird to me that it's not based on distance from Earth. That is not Asteroid Belt C either. Stable orbit. Asteroid Belt C. There we go. Weird place. Weird place. But there you go. All right, just because we're doing so much there, we may as well get it done. Okay, so we're building a gene clinic here. Let's up the level of factory. So hey, there you go. The people who are worried about what you're gonna do, you're gonna go produce genetics in a factory. No comment on that. Oh, we also want to upgrade our resource extraction here. That should actually get us a couple more levels of food, maybe. And then we'll level that once. Let that go. At the seaport here. Yeah, I think that's going to keep them busy for a hot minute. I just want to really like eyeball this to make sure it's going to happen. Okay, shoot. I did build one of those AI things and we don't have enough. Anybody selling? Oh, we can't buy AI stuff. Okay. Very annoying. Are you going to tell me where I built that? Jupiter Stable Orbit A. All right. Jupiter Stable Orbit A. My apologies. But you can't have that because I can't support it. All right, come on. Give it to me here. Yeah, that right click is very helpful. This needs to be improved. This shouldn't be so hard to click on literally my space base. All right, where are you? AI logistics model, sorry. Yes. Those do look incredible though. I definitely want to work my way towards them. I'm just not there at the moment. Okay, Asteroid Belt, how we doing? I'm doing okay. We're at 35 refining. This is probably going to be our new largest refinery. More research complete. Good. New culture idea. Well, we've maxed out. Concrete jungles. Building count cost minus 20%. Beautiful. And I can't add a new trait, so I have literally no idea what we're going to do with our culture points at that point. Okay, another thing we talked about. I think we need to raise our education spending. So if we go here, we're currently spending at low, which is actually pretty good. A lot of countries are not spending much of anything at game start. If we raise this to a high, it would be 23k. We can swallow that at this point. Yeah, so that's only 17 more than what we're currently doing. Yes. Now this is going to be like future research. I don't know how it works, but I know it's not like instantaneous. So I assume that like kids have to grow up with a certain level of education, if I just had to guess. Although that did just go up from 58 or 59. Government spending, what are you doing? What does that give me though? Admin efficiency 20%. Okay, that's kind of useful if I'm going to run. A lot of things require me to use admin. 23k. War exhaustion recovery and ruling faction regional power. You know what? I'm in. It's only 18k. I like that admin efficiency. We should probably go around and see if we can get some more edicts up and running in places that are now maxed out. Okay, fiscal policy, we're running neutral. I'm not sure exactly why. Okay, I see. Project build cost would be lowered if we get into inflation. I don't think we need to do that. Yeah, we don't need austerity. Stability offset plus 25. Yeah, we do not need that at the moment. A welfare system. We probably don't need that, although faction loyalty is not terrible. I don't think we can afford to expand the welfare state. And espionage funding, I want to do some espionage, so let's at least give them a little bit. We'll give them a little funding. Now let's actually go look at that too. Let's go back to Earth. And what we need to do is probably our bestest friends, the East Asian People's Republic. very friendly people here. All right, now I think I need to get into this menu. Build spy network cost me 100, and I have enough. Let's do that. And then I don't know what other interface I need there. So I assume we need to like let that roll for a little bit. We are also improving relations with them. They are my biggest threat by far. They are everywhere that I am except for Jupiter, and they're humongous compared to us. Technocracy. I don't know why this thing is still up. Like, okay, we have that. It's not a mission that wants me to do something. Okay, I'm not gonna touch that unless it's telling me it wants me to change Republic to a technocracy. Corporate faction and clergy. The thing here is though, I only get one ruling faction, and honestly my middle class is the best faction. Although maybe if we knock 20% off. That rural laborers though is also pretty good. That development bonus. Yeah, I don't think I'm changing that at the moment. I'm gonna let that lie. Okay, did we finish it? We did. Okay, so that is fine. That's fine. Having one of these in. So let's expand that to all of Japan. So a gene clinic here. This is going to be 29. We can afford that. Okay, another tech done. Good. Okay, now we're doing a culture trait and we only have plus 30. Okay. Yeah, we need some culture. Guys, we need some men of culture around here. All right, I'm definitely going to need more genetics. So let's increase the genetic factories. I want to kind of do them here because A, give people some jobs, I suppose, even if it's weird. And B, in case this gets separated, like Japan goes independent from its colonies or something. That's weird to say, but if the colonies break away, I don't want them to be in a huge deficit there. All right, so they're doing the gene factory here. We're gonna do the gene factory there, and then you can get the gene clinic. And I guess we also, the development down here is so bad, but we're still making that much money. So we probably should give them the nanobot healthcare too. So little bit of support for the motherland. And that'll raise our development by a decent chunk, I think. Yeah, plus 15.2. That extra age is gonna stack up quite nicely also. Yeah. Okay, and then here. Yeah, the aerodrome is for the planes. I want to get some air cover here. Where are we at on that tech? Okay, I actually have finished all the military tech stuff. So let's back out of there. I gotta remember how to do this. So military. So if we look at the... So we could do air superiority or we could do air combat support. Fighters and air bases versus interceptors and air bases. I don't know which I need. Maybe we build one of both. Close air support to me is supporting ground troops with strikes. Air superiority to me is we are going to not let the enemy have any control of our airspace. Let's try the air superiority first. Combat width is 10K. Again, I just don't know about these numbers. I'm going to start with that. Give me one of those there. And then we'll do nothing else. What I want to do is this unit. I want to increase you. Enable automatic patrol. Will defend and seek enemy territories on their own accord. They're restricted to Earth. Informed a template. Save designs as a template. Ranged attack mode. Move to orbit. Now, those are not the buttons I want. Here we go. All right, so the ratio we have is 20% artillery to 80% infantry. So if I double that, that'd be 16. Let's do that. So 16, and then double the artillery. We're going to do a pretty big buildup here, I think. Again, the main thing is I don't want to look weak and encourage somebody to attack me on Earth. Civilians high? It could be higher. Could be higher. Okay, we finished another research tech. Going up here too. I think that's because of our gene labs, right? Yeah, giving me some extra unity. Okay, let's continue that thought process here. So unity. Unity. So that's gonna be a monument. Do we have anything else that does unity? Commercial zones. Okay, commercial zones might be pretty good down here too. All right, let's actually do a little bit of research. So let's look at Central Japan. If I was gonna build, did I already build it here? I might have already built it here. Shoot. I did. Nope, that's the healthcare. Am I crazy? Why am I not? Okay, commercial zone. We'll get there, I promise. All right, gross income, this claims would be 605 for Central. If we go up here, we go to construction, and we look at, I want commercial zone. Commerce zone in Central Japan would give me 1.2k. So I don't understand why those numbers are not agreeing with each other. Well, yeah, because this still says gross 605 on this screen. So it's not taking into account maybe the global bonuses or edicts or something, but they should. Why wouldn't I? So I don't know. That's a little weird. So that just shows me that I understand it basically. I'm just not seeing the right numbers. Okay, so I do want to do that, I think. I've kind of let Earth atrophy away because we were in such a space race moment. But now I think that seeing that they are still a good chunk of our economy, these little percent bonuses are pretty valuable. So give me commercial zone. And another commercial zone. I don't know why I can never find this thing. There's definitely a rhyme and reason. These are grouped by like some kind of group and then alphabetical. And then after we do that, I do want culture. So I want to swing back around. So monument, I can build that. And I guess nothing else here is culture at the moment. Okay, so monument. And then we could do, I think, 3 levels of monuments. And that'll stack in nicely with our gene clinic, since that gives a bonus to it. All right, we have to let the first level build before we can go further. Yeah, let's look at Luna. Take me to the capital. How we doing here? 96%. Okay, yeah, maybe that government spending was worthwhile. 96% of the efficiency there. Commercial zone is in. Resource extraction. I mean, you are producing iron. I don't know if that's worthwhile though. That's just so expensive here, at least. And I've already got my factories in. Yeah, I think you're just good to go. We could add some air forces. Actually, what I've already clicked on is using up my air force limit at the moment. Yeah, let's let that lie for now. All right, we did come in here and look, and we didn't build anything. So, all right, you can get your infrastructure. Come on now. You can get your infrastructure in. I probably should go to the colonies rather than playing around here. We could do power. This is my main power spot. Do we have anything else that adds power right now? No. All right, this is cheap enough. We'll do another level of power grid. Okay, yeah, we were planning on doing spaceports here, but now I realize it's completely pointless. The space ones are just infinitely better. Let's raise that. This area is doing consumer goods. Yep, I agree. All right, so here's another good one. So, Katharina. If for Katharina, if I wanted to make power here, would it be worthwhile? So a nuclear reactor in Katharina. This claims if I built it, we would make 2.1K. Okay. So power is going to be worthwhile, at least in areas that have a few levels of nuclear fuels. So if I was to do it from here... God, I just really hate this screen. All right. We would also want a fusion reactor and power grid. Yep. Okay. Let that go. Okay, here. Oh, hang on. We also... If we're going to build these places up, we should probably just get space habs everywhere. I think that's probably worthwhile. Let's just do that real quick. I know you already have one. That penalty for having the low hab is noticeable. And it's not like we're getting kicked out of here anytime soon, it seems, so. Get the space habs. Okay, you've already got yours, or I queued it up. Space hab. If nothing else, these places are at least growing my population, so it's not like they're completely worthless. Okay, we'll let that play out for a minute. Let's go back to Japan. All right, next we want to raise the levels of these monuments, and I want them to be maxed. Nope, nope, we don't want to lower. Okay, yeah, we've already got 9 more culture research speed than I had before. So I do think that's going to be worthwhile. Yep, okay. Next, let's go check on our Martian holdings. Okay, everything is built up. I don't foresee us. I guess we do have some nuclear fuel. Okay, let's look at Phobos. So Phobos has 2 nuclear fuel. You tell me you're going to make $302. Nuclear reactor. I want to look at Phobos. This at least is nice for small areas. It's going to make 1.5K. Okay, so what this is telling me is that power is worthwhile. If I look at Japan... and I look at the nuclear reactor, again, just it tells me it's going to be $302. Is power? What I want to learn here is power worth spamming? Okay, that is not incredibly good for the cost of. Remember, every project a region has increases the cost of all future projects. So in areas where you don't have a good bonus like this is probably not going to have a good ROI. They're going to make everything else so much more expensive. But for smaller areas, like say the moon, I think that will be worthwhile. All right, we got ideological warfare for my clergy. Oh boy. Okay, so that's a negative there. But for Phobos, going back to a current thing, for Phobos, it was probably worthwhile at 1K payback already. So nuclear reactor, the fusion reactor. And then I think we can't do the power until we have one of the 2. I guess that is one advantage of the construction development. I can queue up things like the power infrastructure. All right, Demos also has some nuclear material. We'll do the same thing here. So, nuclear reactor, fusion reactor. Cool. Jupiter stable orbit 1. Okay, now here we have helium-2, but that's we have the bonus up here, which is super nice because apparently, oh no, that's the ice. We're not harvesting the helium-2 yet. Oh, no, helium-3. Yes, we are. Industrial capability and energy sector. Okay. Are you making the consumer goods here? Yes. Are you making electronics here? Yes. God, it's like I know what I'm doing or something. This is weird. We could expand the spaceport. I think we will. Let's do that. Let's just get it done. I want to make some space stuff soon. TM. Yeah, we're finishing up these things. War exhaustion, reinforcement. Okay, I don't need those yet. Let's go back to military tech. I kind of want to max out what I can get. So we have land, Navy, Air Force. I wish that they would switch the Navy into Navy wet and Navy dry. I don't know. Navy for space. So it was a little easier to understand. Yeah, we definitely need some more tech there. Air Force wise, you know what? Let's just get it done. So let's do ultralights. Let's do homing bullets. And I'm not into that next tech area. All right, Navy. I guess maybe these apply to both. That seems really weird to me, but all right, advanced shipbuilding. I don't really care about the floating fortress at the moment. We'll take it. More shipbuilding, more shipbuilding. Engines, fusion, turrets, lasers. Okay, there we go. All right, that gets our tech, that keeps our tech rolling for a little bit. Okay, so we looked at Jupiter. Hop on down to Europa. All right, now here, I want to continue calling. I think I want to grab all the stables, if I'm being honest. I just really don't want anyone getting any ideas. So let's go to stable orbit B, increase workforce. And can I hit enter on these? I can. There we go. Get that started. I don't really feel like I need to be in like a super duper hurry, so I'm not going to bother like multi. Although I guess at this point we're so good on stability, I probably can. Increase workforce, expand. D. Yeah, just get them all done. And then I don't have to worry. Then people can still, of course, land on the planets, but we will be working on those too. And I guess we probably should just hit the survey because I'm committed. 9 iron, a bunch of nuclear fuel, and some curiosities. Cool. Nuclear fuel, heavy metals, curiosities, a little bit of iron. C. Iron, water, nuclear fuel, and B. None of these have like wowed me. Steel refinery project 8. Water and nuclear fuel. Okay. All right, stable orbit B. I love having that infrastructure instantly. All right, space habitation takes us to 100% habitability, which is just insane to me. And then, of course, we're going to put in steel. It's hard to say no to the steel. And actually, we should do the cloning relatively early. I have 12, but that should be fine. Okay, I wish these were in different order. This feels very strange the way these are ordered. Yeah, very strange. All right, C. Same thing. So we are going to do space habitation, we're going to do steel refinery, we're going to do clone vats, space hab, steel refinery, clone that. Yeah, we are going to have hopefully a nice secondary population boom coming along as these various places come online. Okay, finish more tech. Great. Yeah, look at that. We're up to 50 on the culture research. Let's jump back into Japan itself. Oh, and we're getting our spy network built up, apparently. Okay, cool. Not colonizing. I probably should continue there, too. All right, Europa. I think Europa is the most livable area around here. All right, let's do what I said I wasn't going to do. Let's start surveying en masse. More Ice 9, iron, nuclear fuel. Water, iron, nuclear fuel, Ice 9. I think that's going to be the norm down here. I think that's just what this planet has. Some extra curiosities, although I don't know if 2 does it when we have those space options. Okay, so of the ones around me, what is the best? 17 iron, 8 iron, 11. This one has some consumer good potential. Okay, I think we're going to go with the one that has some consumer good potential. Also has 4 water, which is higher. All right, you're in. If you're not in debt, you don't have to click a yes to that button. Just saying. All right, but we are over our hour already. We will hopefully be moving fast in the next couple of episodes. I feel like we did kind of a nice little check-in there. So unless I notice something crazy has happened, he goes immediately to go look. Something absolutely crazy has happened, and it has. It looks like India has taken land somehow off of the East Asian peoples. Again, boy, it would have been nice to know they had a war. I assume that was from a war. Although maybe they had a rebellion because now Nepal is free. Who knows? Nigeria's grown a little bit. Yeah. All right, but as I mentioned, we will be back in the next one and continue on. Hopefully you're still enjoying this one. Brazil can space. There you go. They're in space. Well, we really got to get our fleet up and running. I'm going to try to do that little tech rushing before we invest, but I definitely need to get that done. Anyways, if you enjoyed yourself, don't forget to leave a like on the video. That helps me a ton. If you're not subscribed, I hope I've earned your subscription. I'd love to have you back here or in any of the other content that I work on. If you want to support the channel, you can always leave a super thanks here or join me live for a super chat. Consider checking out the channel memberships. That gets you early access to videos that I'm working on, such as this series or whatever it is in the future. I also have a Patreon if you just want to leave some tips there. I also have a Discord where I announce my video drops and when I'm going to go live. I do a Discord notification. Welcome to hop on in there. You can always mute the announcement channel if you want to hang out but don't want to get bugged on Discord. All right, guys, get out there and colonize space. I'll catch you in the next one. Double out.